your startup journey today.
Welcome back to On The Cusp. I've got Matt Snyder back with me, season 7. Okay, it's never going to end, Matt.
Let's keep it going.
Okay, and now we got Dany Martin
Yes,
from Williams Financial Services.
Yes, sir.
And Dany, what do you do?
So at heart, I'm a financial advisor. Started in 2006 at Capital One Bank, spent 8.5 years there, and in 2015 left the bank and joined Tommy Williams, which is a local financial advisory firm here that was founded in '97, and joined the office there. And then over the last 6 years or so, have bought the practice, and now me and 2 other guys own WFA, which is a shortened version of Williams Financial. So we're financial advisors, independent, locally owned and operated.
I'll start here on this because I've wanted to have this conversation with you forever.
All right.
And I have a friend, another guy I work with, Ben James, and he's this way to a certain degree. But overall, financial advisors have a reputation.
Yep.
Stuffy, mahogany, duck pictures behind them, not that involved in the community, not that open-minded maybe a lot of ways. I think you hit my radar and I knew you before I even knew you were a financial advisor. You don't fit any of those things. And that's interesting to me. So, how does that work? How do you mesh these two worlds?
So strategically, we've wanted to do that. So we're taught as financial advisors our whole life to go out and try to find new clients and get the money and do all that type of stuff. You have to do the work and the planning and do right by the client and all that. But from a marketing standpoint and a referral standpoint, you ask for referrals and you have events to get clients.
Right.
We have focused on what's called client primacy our entire career, Chase and I especially, meaning take really good care of your clients and they will eventually 5, 10, 20 years later feel really comfortable to refer you clients. And then we do what's called chance encounters, which means I'm going to dress like I want to dress, how I feel comfortable. And I'm here and we meet in the same location. It's a chance encounter. We're in the same place. We have an instant connection. It's not me faking it. I wore a suit for 10 years because that's what I was taught. And then you get to a certain point where it's like, look, I just need to go sit in Highland in this old pink house and just do the work. Doesn't matter what I'm wearing. And that's sort of just translated to the way we operate. But it was very strategic and just really dressing how we feel comfortable because it's not a prospecting or marketing thing. It's just who we are.
And I get that, and that's cool. And I like it.
And we have younger clients.
But more I like is your heart. And how involved you and your wife are in the community.
Thank you.
I mean, why is that such an integral part in what you do?
It's been interesting. We aren't from here. I'm from South Louisiana. Moved to Natchitoches, went to college, moved to Shreveport, knew one person. Keith Bajerl got me a job at Capital One, and so we just fell into place here. Married my wife, who's from Pineville, and started volunteering at Common Ground. I couldn't go home. I'm like, we saw the kids. I saw it. Like, I actually saw what was happening in Cedar Grove area with my own eyes and with junior achievement and financial literacy. And I'm like, I just can't unsee it once I saw it. And so people tell us all the time we have a big heart, and I appreciate it. It's just really, like, once you see something, at least in my opinion, you can't unsee it. And we call, in our house, Lindsay kind of coined the term, like, we're gap fillers. Financial planners look this way, we're going to fill this gap, right? These kids need this, we're going to fill this gap. We need a vegan restaurant, we're going to fill that gap. So, like, there's a lot of very highly respected people who I have huge admiration for. Committees, they donate a bunch of money. We're really the boots on the ground. Like, I'm going to show up and do this work. We need your money to help us do this work. And together, that's really where I think some of the change happens. So we're the boots on the ground, just gap fillers, and now it's just who we are, at this point.
I always talk about, like,
everybody sees y'all that way right now.
And that's so important to me. With a lot of the stuff that y'all do and a lot of people I admire do, somebody has to make the work look cool. Because people want to do what cool people are doing, and y'all do. You and Lindsay have always just done a great job of that.
We show up every day. I do not have a big strategic plan of what. It's literally like, it started like, wake up. Do these children have food? Is there anybody that needs a ride? Do they do their homework? Wake up the next day. do it again, and then eventually it's part of what your routine is. So it's just a daily habit, you know.
And you attract cool, good-hearted people too. One of my favorite guys in town is Brandon Wilson.
Man, he's my guy.
I
Man.
mean, I love him, and Trent Wyrick loves him, and it's good people find good people, and dude, I love y'all's relationship too, man.
Yeah, man. So it's been fun. So Brandon actually, my wife owned Well Fed restaurant for 10 years, shut it down on March the 2nd, I guess a couple of months ago, and just for personal reasons, nothing to do with Shreveport, you know, just 10 years is a good run. But I actually met Brandon through the restaurant. We have the house next door as our WFA second location. We call it the Pink House. So we just out there eating nachos, and, you know, to me, he was like the first NFL guy I'd ever talked. I was so cool, man. Like, what's up, man? Hey, and he left. I was like, dude, Dad, you got the NFL. This is 3 years ago, and I very simply said, hey, man, I'm going to come to Cincy and watch you play. He's like, yeah, do it. Most people don't. And so, man, I got on there, I booked the ticket, went to Cincy, flew out. He got injured first play of the second half, and I was the only one. Man, I was like crying, had his jersey on. I was like, it went from fan
I remember that.
to dad. And I was like, oh, these dudes are real. Like, this is not just some celebrity, you know, football guy. This is like, he's got Jade and he's got, you know, Naomi, he's got his babies. Like, what is he going to do for the rest of his career? Just like all flooded over me sitting in Cincy. And that's where I was like, man, we've got to become, like, now we're friends. And, you know, hopefully he wants to get into the business. At the time of this recording, he's studying for a securities license.
Dude, I love it.
We've been affiliated with the NFL. So it's
tell us about the affiliation with the NFL.
Yeah, so that's
how you're doing that.
That's sort of fun. So my business partner's name is Chase Crump. He's been in the business about as long as I have, 18 years. And about 3 years ago, we were telling this story. I had just met Brandon, and in our marketing call, we decided it'd be fun to work with athletes. There's 14 guys at that moment in the NFL. You know, Chase's neighbor is Greedy Williams. We have some relationships with other guys, but we're like, that'd be fun, just a pipe dream. It's not our target. Like, we don't ever have to get an athlete. And so the marketing lady goes, well, there's this designation with the NFL. Why don't we just apply for it? So that was like the first step. So it was one of those things where you just open the door, and 2.5 years later, the NFLPA has approved Chase and our firm as one of 105 advisors affiliated with the NFL, which means the agents can refer their players to a licensed advisor. Now, the player can choose whoever they want, but for us as a local business who's been around since '97, really what it did was give us a stamp of approval from a third party that says, man, 2.5 years of due diligence, and y'all are doing it the right way. We will approve y'all. So the NFL thing's fun. We think we can change the culture of the financial advisor services industry. Like, they all look like me.
Yeah.
All advisors. We want to change that. And so it just gives us an insight to some of these players and what they need. But for us, really, it was the stamp of approval.
Dude, if you had Brandon on the staff,
we're trying,
let's
man.
go.
And maybe by the time this drops, you know, you take B and you take, and then we have another really good friend of ours, Rashad Johnson, who was the KSLA sports guy for 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh, what a nice guy.
He does the It's All Love sweatshirts, light work experience. Actually, B and Rashad are both looking to come on. So I don't know when this happens. I don't know when it's announced. I don't know when this drops.
Y'all be the nicest financial firm in America.
We're going to be, it's going to be awesome. But it's collectively, if you take our experience and their background and their relationships and Brandon's knowledge of the players and then Chase's knowledge of the industry and put all that together, it's really a cool, you know, it's a big win, in my opinion, for us. It's fun. But
and
for
put Shreveport on the map.
Shreveport, we're the only ones in Louisiana. So, like, Louisiana, you know, is dead last, right, and everything. This is like a win for Shreveport. And if we had a building, it would be known, but we just don't have that. And so, you know, we're financial advisors, so we don't.
Yeah, you don't need a great big building.
You got a pink house. We can do something with that. I mean, I like that.
The pink house is the spot.
Okay, so let's talk about what we have going from a business standpoint, from a lifestyle standpoint. What's going well in our area?
Man, I think first thing, if you go to any other city, you can get anywhere in this town in 10 or 15 minutes.
Yep.
The traffic there is none, right? So like,
I moved here from D.C., man. Okay, don't people tell me traffic? I go, what are you talking about? You don't know traffic.
I'll be there in 15 minutes. Right?
That's right.
So the that's number one.
Traffic.
The number two, I think we have a group of our age, so 30 to 50. You know, it used to be 25 to 35.
Yeah, yeah. No, I keep moving it back.
Yeah, you got the Lindsay Nations.
Well, you left me out, but that's okay. All right.
You're in heart, Dave.
You got the Lindsay Nations and the Rodrigos and the Gabriels and, you know, everybody in town
Right.
that have sort of put their blood, sweat, and tears into this town to do some really cool stuff, and it's worked. And all of those entrepreneurs have worked together collectively to support each other. So I think the support is where it needs to be for a local business to work.
Right.
I do think that over the last 5 years that there has been a little bit of sort of copycat pop up where it's not as much supportive as it was at the farmers market 5 years ago, which is great. I love new businesses pop up and they sort of want to duplicate what someone else successfully has done. But I think the collaboration between, you know, just you and I or just anybody sitting in town, I think that's been a strong suit.
Me too.
I think
There was that group you just mentioned, in all our age, especially that started a lot, there was a real sense of wanting each other to succeed.
Man. And
like, not fake, like, we really want each other.
Anybody could have just moved anywhere and done what they did here.
Yeah,
and could still move anywhere, you know. It's so the fact that it's here, I don't think that, I know there's a group under us, there always is, right? I'd be foolish to think that we know everything. But I just think that we have the opportunity to sort of change the future of like what a cool small community looks like. Because we're 200,000 people or so, but we feel like a very small town.
Yeah, we're the smallest big town you're going to live in.
That's exactly right. So I think
that's how Shreveport, Bossier feels.
Yep,
you know,
I completely agree.
Yeah, we've got
you're only one or two people removed, from somebody else. Okay.
The three of us sitting here could have a connection to any name that we're going to throw out right now. I think there's an interesting thing, and you kind of brought it up, and I talk about it a lot, that our age, for whatever reason, our little 5 to 10 year gap, there were some really creative individuals that came back to Shreveport and did some stuff, took some risk and did some stuff. I look at the 10 years above us and see a gap. I worry that I'm seeing it below. I hope I'm not. I hope I'm wrong. But we have to work in, and maybe it's because we've been so focused on our group that we're not mentoring that next group as much.
That next group.
But we've got to find those guys. And if you're listening to this, I think guys like Dany, myself, a lot of us, we want to mentor the next group. I mean, that's fair.
Well, that's one of the things that we wanted to do in the entrepreneurial community is build a community, a network, of people that would provide the encouragement. Because, I mean, you got to want it. You got to have the passion to go do it. And the more times you see somebody like Dany or Matt, or we can go into lots of others, you see those, they did it, they made it. There's nothing to say that you can't do it. You don't have to go get the 9-to-5 corporate job. That's right. There is something out there that if you're really passionate about it, you can go do it.
Well, Dany, you talked about this, and this is interesting because it's my story too. You talked about meeting Brandon at WellFed and being in a space that's open to the public and talking to people. I built 90% of the relationships I have in business right now in Rhino Coffee. Those first 6 years, you knew if you came in that door at Uptown, me and Grant were going to be at that window from 8 to 9, and we were going to talk to everybody, and we were going to know what's open. I had more information on the happenings of Shreveport than any economic development guy from that counter. I think it's important for us to encourage the young people to talk to people, go out, be in, but don't sit in your office, every day. Meet, if you're in the Rhino, get your head up every once in a while and talk to somebody.
Well, I think Dany said it really well. I mean, you're actively involved in multiple aspects of our community, You're giving back. And the more you're out there, the more you're contributing, the more connected you're going to be. To Matt's point, the more people you're going to meet, I think it's absolutely imperative that for us in this community, we do that. Because, I mean, I'm in economic development. I wanna recruit the 1,000-person company to come in here, and bring 1,000 jobs. I know that there's only going to be 10 of those a year across the United States. But if we can recruit that 100-person company, that starts changing the game. If we recruit one person to launch a business, okay, that employs 20, 30 people. We just had a guy in here, started his own, he and his brother started his own business. Now they're at what, 200 plus, okay? That's incredible right there. You can really change a community with something like that. And the other thing, you didn't say it, but something we don't do a really good job of communicating in Shreveport Bossier is the cost of living.
Oh, yeah.
You want to move here, okay? You want to own a house? You can buy a lot of house here that you can't do in Dallas or Houston.
Dany, talk on that. You're a financial advisor. You've got some young clients, I would figure, for a financial advisor portfolio. Why are these people with that kind of money staying in Shreveport?
Yes, so cost of living, the airport's gotten a lot better, and so it's easier even to get out of Shreveport on a plane or now. I mean, Dallas is what, 3 hours, 3.5 to the airport? So even if you do go there, I feel like the cost of living here is a lot more affordable than you realize it is until you look other places. And so as a financial planner, we'll say, when you retire, do you want to, I'm going to move to, a lake in Arkansas. And they go look at a house and it's, $600,000-$700,000 for what they have here. And it's like, man, you just don't realize it till you try to go other places. Once again, it's different if it's a small town that's got a cheap cost of living because there's nothing to do. I feel like if you get out and see the town, like we've got a 3-year-old granddaughter. We went to AC Steele Park Saturday. It was awesome. Yeah. I'm like, wait, I know it was there and I've passed it on Youree Drive, but man, it's like, it was all, I'm like, this is great. More people should know it's AC Steele. So people do, but you just, until you get out and experience these things, I feel like a lot of people, negative rules the world. Right? You turn on the news, they're there to sell advertisements, they're not there.
Which really prompted us to start On The Cusp, but to have a positive conduit for things positive in the community.
Negative sales. We literally changed WFA as Williams Financial Advisors. We changed it to WFA, plan, invest, inspire. So planning is the financial planning part. Where am I going? What do I have? What do I need? Invest, we manage client assets, right? So we're almost $500 million that we are responsible for as a local office. The inspire part's the fun part. Like it's what we do to you. You're not a client, but maybe if you see us volunteering or see us redoing a house or see us dressing like this that we've inspired, maybe it's not a 1,000-person company. I think in 10 years, there's going to be a 10-year-old that we inspire to create 1,000. It's a much longer journey for me, at least
with a higher rate of return.
Correct. If we can do it to more people.
You have to look at it that way. Somebody that starts a business here that grows it to 1,000-person business, they're going to stay here. They're not going to move.
Correct.
All right. They'll always have that.
Okay, I want to go down one lane.
Okay, go ahead.
It's important to me. I know it's important to you, and we're going to talk about it, and they can decide if it stays there or not. There's a racial division in this city that I've felt grow at times in my life and get better at times in my life. It's important to me to fight against that, and I know it's important to you. How do we make waves in that?
Man, so that's a deep question, and I don't have all the answers. So we've done our part, I guess, to try to figure it out. Lindsay and I have 5 adopted boys. They were 14, 15, and 16 when they moved into our homes in 2017. So in 2015 and 16, we started 2 businesses and had 5. We don't have any kids of our own. We had a big house, and we were like, oh, we'll never use it.
2 businesses and 5 kids in 2 years.
And so what that did is not to say, look at us, everybody has to bring 5 kids. We've been able to see the other side of like what children need, and not just children like children, teenagers. There's a lot of crime going on. In my mind, I think there's places that we can just show up and go talk and meet people, actually boots on the ground in the community. And that itself would lead to simply getting a phone number for one child, and just your responsibility is to text them and say, hey, you got food today? Hey, you need a ride to school? Hey, you don't have to move them in. It's just, I think there's a way for us to bridge the gap one-on-one to everybody in the community, but everybody, in my opinion, wants someone else to do it, and we just want to sit around and talk about it, right? So I don't think I do think the big strategy meetings and things like that are important. I think volunteering is important, one-on-one. If people in my mind would change the reason they volunteer to help the people they're volunteering for and not really to show people that they're there volunteering, I think it would change their heart and it would change the community.
I think that's an amazing way to put it.
I think so.
And I think you're doing that. And I think you just keep encouraging.
Now, how to change people's, hearts? There's a lot of good ones.
Right.
But there could be a whole lot more that just don't know what to do.
Right.
So
show up and do something.
So really quickly, and I know we're running out of time, Dave.
Yep.
How did you start that process? How does somebody that has that heart but doesn't know how to connect with that kid or whatnot, how do you do that?
So for us personally, my wife teaches yoga. She went to Common Ground, and which is over off of Southern and Cedar Grove.
Yeah.
Matt and Vicky Whitehead, they're the salt of the earth of Shreveport. She showed up to teach yoga and serve some meals, and I showed up to play basketball, and nobody ever picked me up. And so I just showed up to volunteer. And when I got there, it felt different for me. It was almost an escape, like, oh, I get to get on the court with these 15, 16, 17-year-olds and, like, rough it up. Like, I'm not serving food. For me, it was about I was with the kids, right? And so one of the boys just simply got in trouble. And Matt and Vicky called and said, hey, we need a place for him to live for just a couple days, because if he doesn't, he's got to go home, and there's a curfew, and if he gets in trouble, he goes to jail. We just need a couple days. He's going to Camp Minden. Would y'all be open? I mean, what's my excuse?
Simple step.
It's inconvenient. I mean, we had the money, we had the time, we had no reason to. And so we were just like, literally, my wife's in the bathtub, and she goes, I'm like, what? Tell him we'll be there tomorrow. And we just showed up to court on Monday. Judge Young signed the form over to us, full guardianship, and then he spent the night, brought a friend, brought another friend. They came back next weekend, and then it sort of just happened. But for me, I showed up to Common Ground, and there's a bunch of places to show up, and I got in the trenches with the boys and realized, like, man, I brought them home, and the moment that I'm scared to drive down a street to drop him off, but he's okay living there, that's a problem.
Yep.
That's awesome, man.
That is awesome. That's a great story.
Dude. Well, keep encouraging people, man.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. No more kids, though.
Four's
You got the babies everywhere. You're gonna have a lot of kids fast.
Thank y'all for what y'all do too, man. The entrepreneur at heart. I'm sort of just a wing it person, man. Y'all are very, I know Julie Gilley from, we do a lot with Jay and the challenge and all the Trust Your Crazy Ideas challenge. So shout out to like having this. If you're listening to this, you've not been here. It's my first time here.
Yeah, this is cool.
You need to show up, come and
this
just be a
was a
part of
dark.
it.
This is
we
the
offer
blade
this up.
too.
Anybody wants to do one, do a podcast or do something.
Yeah.
We'll help you find a facility if this isn't a good fit for you.
Y'all keep getting the word out, doing what you're doing, just just do the right thing with good people.
I think that's the key. I think for us to be successful in Shreveport Bossier, you got to do it one person at a time.
That's it.
There is no simple, easy solution to bridge the problem that we have. But it can be done if we do it one person.
When you see it as a we and an us and not a this and a they and a them, then we've solved the problem. I don't know how to fix that, but that's the problem. It needs to be a we and an us and not a they and a them.
That's right.
Across all aspects of
everybody can win.
Everybody.
This community has a ton of opportunity.
Yep.
We need everybody winning.
We've got one of our boys that graduated, Captain Shreve, who's graduating the West Point Military Academy May 25th. This was probably already aired. So whenever it airs, he was May 25th. So Jalen Caldwell, right out of Cedar Grove, is graduated. He's an officer in the Army and an engineer right there. One person at a time.
Can be done.
It can be done.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, Dany, thank you.
Thank you.
This has been great.
Awesome, man. Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Enjoy the podcast? We would love